Section 2, Part 6. يستفتونك قل الله يفتيكم في الكلالة إن امرؤ هلك ليس له ولد وله أخت فلها نصف ما ترك وهو يرثها إن لم يكن لها ولد فإن كانت اثنتين فلهما الثلثان مما ترك وإن كانوا إخوة رجالا ونساء فللذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين يبين الله لكم أن تضلوا والله بكل شيء عليم. People ask your pronouncement. Say, God enjoins you about your kalala heirs, that if a man dies childless, and he has only a sister, then she shall inherit half of what he leaves, and if a sister dies childless, then her brother shall be her heir. And if there are two sisters, then they shall inherit 2/3 of what he or she leaves. If there are many brothers and sisters, then the share of each male shall be that of 2 females. God expounds unto you that you err not, and God has knowledge of all things. Surah number 4, verse 176. Since according to the interpretation given above, all brothers, sisters, uncles and aunts are kalala relatives, and a person can make any one of them his heir, it is possible that he might prefer an aunt or an uncle over his brothers and sisters. This would not be appropriate, because after one's children, one's brothers and sisters are nearest to him. Sense and reason demand that in such a case they should receive a large portion of the legacy. Verses 11 and 12 of Surah Nisa clearly state that if a deceased has brothers and sisters, then the parents shall receive a sixth each. Since this share is the same as what they receive in the presence of children, the question arises whether it has still been left to a person to make the brothers and sisters his heirs, or can he deprive them of a share in his wealth? While explaining verses 11 and 12 of Surah Nisa, it was written that the style of the verses is such that in the absence of children, the brothers and sisters of a deceased should be his heirs. But obviously, the meaning unfolded by a particular style cannot be as certain and definite as the one which is directly stated in words. In the presence of children, the question about the shares of brothers and sisters can even arise today. It had arisen in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. Jabir radhiyallahu anhu reports, he said, I was sick and in a state of unconsciousness when the Prophet of God arrived at my place to see me. He did the ablution and sprinkled some water over me, from which he was doing his ablution. When I came to my senses, I said, O Prophet of God, who will receive my legacy? All my heirs are kalala. At this verse of inheritance was revealed. From the words, O Prophet of God, all my heirs are kalala, at this verse of inheritance was revealed of the above hadith, it is evident that among the kalala relatives, the question particularly concerned his brothers and sisters, and the last verses of Surah Nisa were revealed as a result of this inquiry. A special style of the Quranic verses is that in them certain questions are stated in a very concise and compact form. The actual nature of the question and its background is revealed by the answer which the verses subsequently give. By not taking into consideration this style, our commentators have come across many difficulties in understanding قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ فِي الْكَلَالَةِ. Here also, if only the answer is analyzed, the meanings the verse conveys are very evident. The verse is of the same style and pattern as يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ. In the latter case, the directive is about the children as the heirs of a deceased, while in the former case, the pronouncement is about kalala relatives as the heirs of a deceased. The article alif lam defines the word kalala in this word, which testifies to the fact that the question concerns some specific relations among the kalala relatives, and the answer shows that these specific relations are the deceased's brothers and sisters. Verse 12 of Surah Nisa has already empowered a person to bequeath a part of his legacy in favor of kalala relatives like uncles, aunts, brothers and sisters. Here, a particular case is mentioned after the general directive. Considering this, the correct meaning of the verse is, say, God gives you a pronouncement about brothers and sisters among the kalala relatives. An example of this style and construction can be seen in verse 189 of Surah Baqarah. It should be clear that the words "In imrun halaka laysa lahu walad" do not state the meaning of kalala. They merely impose a condition which must be fulfilled if the brothers and sisters are to receive a share in a legacy. Just as in the verse فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ وَلَدٌ وَوَرِثَهُ أَبَوَاهُ, a condition is imposed that if the deceased is childless, and only his parents are his heirs, then they shall receive such and such shares. Similarly, in the given verse, a condition is stated that if a person dies childless and he has brothers and sisters, then their share is such and such. Also evident from the condition in the verse is that the brothers and sisters are heirs of a deceased only in case he dies childless. If he leaves children, then they do not have any share in his wealth except if a deceased makes a bequest in their favor according to the general directive mentioned in verse 12 of Surah Nisa. The shares of brothers and sisters stated here are the same as those of the children stated earlier. Also the style in وَإِن كَانُوا إِخْوَةً رِجَالًا وَنِسَاءً فَلِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنثَيَّيْنِ bears witness to the fact that these shares also shall be given after the parents and the spouses are handed over their shares. The relevant arguments are presented in the section which deals with the shares of the children. Hence, if the deceased only has sisters, then 2/3 or 1/2, whatever the case may be, of the share meant for the brothers and sisters shall be given to the sister or sisters. We have indicated earlier that it is evident from verses 11 and 12 of Surah Nisa that in the absence of children, the brothers and sisters of a deceased take their place. This particular verse of Surah Nisa conclusively proves this premise. It was possible to misinterpret it from the style of verses 11 and 12, but here all doubts have been removed as to what the words imply. The Quran therefore says, يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ أَن تَضِلُّوا وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. God explains to you that you err not, and God has knowledge of all things. Surah number 4, verse 176.